What is good, people? Welcome back to another episode from What's the Word Entertainment. Of course, I'm with my boy Obed, and I am Sherm. We're back here in person once again. It's been a while since I've seen you,
a long time, yeah, right?
right? For a second, a while, I thought you were just some robot I was talking to on the screen, like some advanced machine made by Cyberdyne, like a T-800.
Well, so, it's definitely been far too long, but nothing to worry about, Sherm. In the words of Terry Hatcher, I am real and I am spectacular. But, after with the Super Bowl just passing, I think it's time for us to say hasta la vista, baby, to the NFL.
I like it. So, yeah, definitely, man, good to see you again. Let's just get right into it. As you mentioned, the Super Bowl, maybe we could do a little Super Bowl 53 recap really quick. Obviously, the Patriots won that game 13-3. I know you're happy about that. A lot of people weren't happy as it was the lowest scoring Super Bowl in history. Yeah. I mean, I'll get your take on it in 1 second. I know we were kind of talking briefly before we started here. My take on it was, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't mind defensive games. Yeah. But I don't also need to see a 55-54 game. I don't need to see offensive explosions. But I want to see a little more action. Yeah. To me, to be very honest, I was bored. Yeah. I was bored. Yeah. Now, like I said, I don't need to see a big, high-scoring game. I think back to the Super Bowl your Patriots were in. Patriots-Giants, the first one. Yeah. Like, final score was 17-14. Yeah. Not a high-scoring game. That was a pretty defensive game. And that was one of the best Super Bowls I've ever seen. Yeah. Came down to last play with the David Tyree with the helmet catch. Plaxico Burress.
The Plaxico Burress touchdown was amazing.
No one ever talked about it. Everyone talks about the David Tyree catch, but Plaxico Burress actually caught the game-winning touchdown. Yeah. And the Patriots had a chance at the end, that long, deep pass to Randy Moss. If that gets completed, you never know.
You never know.
So, and you know what I mean? So, like, I think back to that. So, I don't need as much offensive explosion, but to me, there was no real big plays that you can really remember. Yeah. Like, last year's Super Bowl was great, even though your Patriots lost, but last year, you remember the Philly special.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And the year before, the Falcons, the Patriots coming back from 25 down in the third quarter. Yeah. There was nothing really to remember and memorable about this Super Bowl to me. Yeah. Nothing really stood out. I mean, the biggest play in the Super Bowl was when the Rams the Rams punter broke the record for longest punt in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
65 yards.
Yeah.
And then Jim Nantz and Tony Romo go crazy. When your announcers are going crazy over a punt, that tells you something.
You're reaching, you're grasping. You're trying to find something.
So there, I know, I mean, I'm sure you like the game because your team won it all, but I mean, how do you feel that some people are just saying, oh, it was terrible, I didn't like it? And like I said, I may be one of those people, but like I said, I don't need a crazy game. To me, I just didn't care for the game.
I think I completely understand that standpoint. And I'm not on the Trey Wingo tip. I'm not out here telling people to shut the hell up because they didn't like, a little aggressive. But, I mean, I think that issue with it being boring is displaced anger because the Rams didn't bring it. The Rams teased everybody with 50-point games, 40-point games, 35-plus point games for the course of the season. That Monday Night Football game with the Chiefs, a huge offensive explosion, even with all the defense there, the fumble recoveries for touchdowns, the fumbles in general, strip sacks. The Rams' inept offense, inability to move the ball, gave you what you gave you. The Patriots, in every Super Bowl, they do one of two things. They either play a very, very tight game and they win by a short margin of victory, or they have to bring it to the team that's brought it to them. I think the two games that I felt the worst, or the most fear that they were going to lose through the course of the game was against the Panthers. The Panthers were like, a rabid dog in a cage that you were poking with a stick, right? And as soon as it got the chance, you see Steve Smith jump into the end zone and make the Superman pose when he scores a touchdown, right? Musa Muhammad on the sideline talking about these guys don't have it. There's just so much emotion there. I think the first time I saw that the Rams weren't going to come out and be the Rams was all this talk about Todd Gurley the game before and him coming back off of having a month off and having like 4 carries for 10 yards. Right. He is such a big cog of what they like to do on offense. And then not having Cooper Kupp earlier in the season, I think that completely changed that dynamic. They were living and dying off of Cooper Kupp being the wide receiver that played on the end of the line, the big tight end, kind of like an Aaron Hernandez style, coming out and getting a big chunk play or being that go-to guy for Jared Goff. They hadn't looked like the Rams, and if they didn't bring that offense, the Patriots weren't going to come out here and get into a horse race with teams the way they beat the Chiefs. Do not get in a horse race with this team.
Yeah, and you mentioned Gurley. I still don't get it. Only 10 touches. He should have had no less than 20, maybe even 25 touches in that game. It is the biggest game of the year. Yeah. So I think they he was actually injured and they just didn't want to tell anybody, or they just Malcolm Butlered him. like they did last year, what the Patriots did last year. Something happened during the week or the week before, and with the front office, with the coaching staff, and they don't want to let it out house, and they don't want to let it out. So I think there's no reason why when you have one of the most dynamic running backs in the NFL, probably top 3 or top 2 guys running backs in the NFL. That he doesn't get the ball in the Super Bowl. Yeah, this is it. Yeah. There's no other game after it.
There's nothing after this.
This is what you trained all year for.
You could fall off into obscurity and never be heard from again, like the Bucs or the Raiders.
Right. Unless his leg or arm is actually falling off. Yeah. You put him in the game and you play him as much as you can.
Absolutely. That's the way the game's played.
I still to this day, there was no real explanation of why. They said they want to share the carries with C.J. Anderson. Yeah, C.J. Anderson's a good role player. Yeah. He's not Todd Gurley.
He's not Todd Gurley. And they weren't going to get Todd Gurley production out of C.J. Anderson. I think he's got an injury. The problem there is that I agree with you. I think that Todd Gurley is very injured. I think whatever his injury is, he is still in recovery. Mm-hmm. This would put to light a lot of the player safety concerns that the NFL has, as well as the transparency and honesty the teams are supposed to put forth with injury reporting for players. You're telling me that this guy who had missed up to this point probably 7 weeks of football because he hadn't, they picked up C.J. Anderson well before the playoffs started, but Todd Gurley wasn't really out there doing much to begin with, the reason why they brought C.J. Anderson in. So if you're telling me that he was on the bench and you thought you could ride out this injury without explaining, like, hey, this is the injury, that's going to have a lot of implications for them.
Yeah, and it says a lot about about Sean McVay, like what was his really strategy going into this game? Yeah. Was this planned all along? Yeah. Did it just come off the seat of his pants? I don't know, but a lot of questions still unanswered. But I mean, it was still, the stat lines weren't that great. I mean, Brady was 21 of 35 at 262 and a pick. Yeah. Sony Michel had a good game, 18 carries, 94 yards, and the only touchdown, of course. Yep. Gronk, 6 catches for 87 yards, and
you were saying like there weren't any big plays. I think the biggest play for the game probably was that catch that he made.
Towards the end zone.
Towards the end zone, that set him up
right. Yep. Which inevitably led to the only red zone play of the Super Bowl.
Yep.
That's what I mean. Like, you have one red zone play in the entire Super Bowl. Come on.
At least Patriots got it. That's all I can say, right? Where you at? Where that Rams offense at? Where you at?
I mean, kudos to the Pats D for shutting that Rams offense down. Yeah. I mean, because they did a great job of disguising their coverages.
Absolutely.
There's a few plays where they were showing cover 3, they would drop back into quarters. Yeah. And I know the Rams really planned for man-to-man coverage mostly, but the Patriots ran a lot more zone than they usually do.
Absolutely.
So I think that kind of got not only Goff but McVay off their game a little bit. Because I think I mentioned it before when we were doing our show before the Super Bowl, that a lot of Goff's success is in the play action.
It is.
And when he's in play action and he turns his back to fake that handoff to that running back, the Patriots were doing good, actually changing their defense in that moment, right there. Like I said, they were showing one defense and coming out another one. All of a sudden, Goff turns around and is like, oh, crap, this is a different defense.
Everybody's sitting in the zones that I thought were going to be open because generally it's man. Everyone's bit. Everybody's come underneath. Right. People are going with their player.
Right. And the Patriots did a great job. They were actually rushing 6 guys at the time. Yeah. So you only have 5 linemen trying to cover 6 guys. Somebody's going to get through. So, do you know what I mean?
Dante Hightower had a big game off of that. Trey Flowers had a big game off of that. Vinoy was very disruptive underneath. Yeah.
Right. Hightower, big game. Julian Edelman, of course, 10 catches, 141. He was named the Super Bowl MVP. Right. On the other side, the Rams, Goff only threw for 229 and a pick. Gurley, as you mentioned, only the 10 carries, 34 yards, which is crazy.
Crazy to me.
Anderson, 22 carries and a fumble. Yeah. And then Cooks, he cooked a little bit.
Cooks was cooking. He was out there.
8 for 120, but he had that crucial drop, that potential touchdown in the end zone.
Yeah.
Now, the defender did grab his arm.
Yes.
He did.
Yeah.
But it was a catch that I think Cooks could have and should have made. It's a type of catch he does normally make.
Absolutely.
So I think that could have made a difference right there. Yeah. And then, a couple plays later down the line, later in the game, the one where I think it was miscued, and then very next play they ran the same play, and then Gilmore made the interception. Yeah. The Rams, they just weren't clicking. They weren't in sync. No.
And they haven't looked in sync for a few weeks now. To be honest, they were tearing up my heart. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. And I guess the Patriots said bye to them. So.
Hey. Nicely done.
See what I did there?
I did that.
But I mean, like I said, like I said, kudos to the Patriots. You know, they went it fair and square. Nothing wrong with it. But to me, I just didn't enjoy the game personally. I thought there could have been a little bit more action, a little more dynamic plays happening.
Yeah.
But all in all, Pats won 6 Super Bowl. Tom Brady,
Woo!
great,
Six God. Greatest
QB of all time.
I mean, it's hard. Listen, you know, people were like, "Hey, Joe Montana, greatest quarterback ever. He, 4 Super Bowls, 4 wins." What happens when you've been to 9 of them and you have 6 rings? Well, I mean, what do you say then?
Yeah, I generally not to just consider rings as a definitive measure to measure someone's greatness, or someone's ability, because you're measuring. We're measuring someone's abilities. Yeah. And because they have team success does not mean they are a great player.
True.
You know,
True. I can
so I don't like to always throw in the rings in there. I mean, to me, it's still Peyton Manning is still one of the top 3.
I could believe that. Yeah.
You know, like you said, Joe Montana, even Johnny Unitas is up there.
Yeah.
But
Otto Graham, you got to talk about. He was I've watched some of that old video from the Browns, and I mean, if there wasn't a scarier quarterback to see come on the field, it would have to be that guy.
Yeah. I mean, you know, he's definitely obviously one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, if not arguably the greatest. But as one of the greatest, some people are saying he's the greatest football player of all time.
I mean, I don't know about that.
I'm hesitant to say that. Yeah. To me, I mean, it's Jerry Rice, greatest football player of all time.
Okay.
Think about it. We're still arguing about quarterbacks. As we just did.
Yeah.
Who's the greatest running back of all time to you?
Ooh,
it's a hard question, right?
It is a hard question. People, I didn't watch Walter Payton. I didn't, you know what I mean? I didn't watch Thurman
I like
Thomas.
Barry Sanders. Some people say Emmitt Smith.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
could see Emmitt Smith.
Who's the greatest linebacker of all time?
Probably LT.
Yeah. Some people say Ray Rice.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, obviously, Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis. Excuse me. They want to say Ray Rice.
Yeah.
Ray Lewis.
Don't cancel our show.
Yeah. DB. Some people say Deion.
Oh my God, Deion Sanders had 24 interceptions in 3 years in the league. I don't know if there's anybody who's ever going to be a better quarterback
Some people
than that.
say Ronnie Lott.
Yeah.
There's different things, but when you talk about receivers, it's Jerry Rice, hands down. And I think Jerry Rice was so much better at his position than those other guys were at their position. That's why I still say Jerry Rice is the greatest football player in NFL history.
I can believe that. His dedication to his craft, the amount of work he put in. Yes, people will talk about him talking about stickums and all that stuff that they used to do, but it doesn't matter what I use to catch the ball with. If I've already shook you out of your shoes, you're 6 yards behind me. Yeah, and what are you going to do?
And he holds every single receiving record.
It's like
and no one's even close to him.
Well, they say Larry Fitzgerald would have to play like another 6 years to get even the next 10,000 yards he would need to get out there.
It's crazy,
it's ridiculous.
you know.
Yes,
I mean, Rice has the yards, he has the touchdowns, he has the receptions. You know what I mean? It's just not even close.
Some of the little stories you hear about Jerry Rice that have come out since his retirement as well, like when he started to see that the DeBartolos were starting to move their attention to having Steve Young become the quarterback because Joe Montana's time was up, he started catching balls from anyone who was on the coaching staff who was left-handed to prepare for catching footballs from a left-handed quarterback. And you see it when Michael Vick steps in for the Steelers and Antonio Brown drops a would-be touchdown pass because the spin on the ball is the other direction because Mike Vick is left-handed and Ben Roethlisberger is right-handed. You know, those kind of little things that just as soon as I saw it just made me think about, like, wow, Jerry Rice was really ahead of his time for thinking about these things in the game for him.
Right.
You know?
And as you mentioned retirement, I want to go back to the Super Bowl just for 1 second with Gronk.
Yeah.
Do you think that's his last game? Do you think he retires this season?
I mean, every football player, and he's not, his contract is already signed. His money's guaranteed. He can come back and play again next year, or leave and keep his money with him. Looking at the look on his face, some of the catches he made, and the way he would get up and was grimacing, it's definitely taken a toll on him. Yeah. He's obviously a Hall of Fame tight end, probably the best tight end to ever play the game outside of Mark Bavaro or Tony Gonzalez.
I'm going to say still Tony.
Yeah. You know, it's hard. Dunking on the goalpost there before it was outlawed. But, you know, you look at his ability now as a blocking tight end, and he is moving anyone off of the ball. He is willing to go at anybody with just that massive size and frame, can still eke out and get you an amazing, 15-yarder down the field to move the chains into the only red zone opportunity that any team had in the Super Bowl. Right. It's up to him. The Patriots can find a way to use him. He's already been paid. He can come back and be in a reserve role, but, it's on him. I don't think he should continue. I think he should just go be in the World Wrestling Federation or be a dude on MTV, whatever would have you.
World Wrestling Entertainment.
Or World Wrestling Entertainment. The other WWE. Yeah. Copyright that.
Honestly, I think he's done. I think I said it before the Super Bowl that if the Pats win, he's 100% retiring. Even if they lost, I'd say it was about 80% he was going to retire. Yeah. But I think he's done. He's just had too many injuries. Yeah. The elbow, the ankles, and especially the back.
I
think I've said it before. The back is nothing to play with, man, and it takes a toll on you, dude.
Yeah,
I think he's done.
It's what got Tony Romo, So I think there's no need, and really a young mind like him. I don't know if he's ready to go into the booth, but it might be detrimental to the Patriots to have that man out there talking about the kind of things they like to do because he knew how they did it well.
Yeah. So yeah, but anyway, let's move on from the Super Bowl. I want to do start doing a little division recap as we're going into the offseason. Teams are making some changes, whether it's coaching, whether it's this, the roster, things like that. So we'll start out with the AFC East, being that the Pats won the Super Bowl. Of course, and not much to say, much more we can say about the Pats. Obviously, they finished the year 11-5, and won the division, won the Super Bowl. They think about $18 million in cap space this coming season. Where do you think they go as far as new contracts, and were they signing any players? Do they bring back Josh Gordon if he's cleared and healthy and reinstated? Where do they what do they need to really get their roster ready for the next season and possibly go to another Super Bowl, have another Super Bowl victory?
It's been a long time since a team has gone to 4 Super Bowls in a row. They'll never be the Bills because they've won 2 out of the 3 that they went to. But you got to re-sign Tom. His contract's up. But we've already been at that point before. You sign him to whatever money is the market value for him. He gives the money back to the team for them to do what they need to do to stay competitive. Julian Edelman, I don't think he's got a contract coming up. 33 years old. You have to think about what you're going to do in the future. Chris Hogan was a non-factor in the Super Bowl, and when they tried to incorporate him, he led to one of the interception that Tom Brady had.
I think he had a couple drops, actually.
Yeah, he didn't
have anything. Yeah.
He's just been so cold. I think he needs, because he's not a pure football player, he's a lacrosse player, from the very famous Penn State, Negotiating Lions. I think they need to retool, bring in Philip Dorsett. If Josh Gordon does get cleared and come back, I can absolutely see them welcoming him with arms open. He had almost 1,000 yards on 8, 9 games, 10 games, something like that. So of course you want that kind of production. What could he do in a full 16-game season? I think defensively, Trey Flowers is probably up for as a 25-year-old for a big contract. Trent Brown, huge. He was bad in pass. Well, they say he was bad in pass pro. He ranked as a very low offensive tackle, but his ability to keep Tom Brady upright, keep Tom Brady protected, gave them an edge that I don't think that they would ever be able to maximize with an Isaiah Wynn, who they picked up in the draft from University of Georgia. But that individual is more of a guard, small body, short-armed individual, short-arm player. They're going to have to retool the defense. They're going to have to get some players on offense. It's going to be a struggle, but they always find a way to retool, right? The one thing that is hard to do after a Super Bowl run is realize that your team is now going to leave for contracts. People are going to go get paid. Yeah. How do you stay competitive the next year? The Patriots have figured that out. I'm sure they'll be fine.
Yeah, I think they're going to probably focus on the offensive line. I mean, the offensive line was great. Yeah. They didn't let up a sack until that Super Bowl.
Oh my goodness, yeah, clean pocket.
In the other 2 playoff games. But I think they're really going to just maybe pay those guys more. Whatever, they just re-sign them if need be.
42-year-old Tom Brady, got to keep him upright.
Exactly. Linebackers, Hightower. He had a great game as well. He's going to be around. Van Noy's going to be around. Yeah. Maybe you just go secondary. And obviously
McCourty's looking at maybe retiring. You never know. I mean, what else? He said that after I win a Super Bowl with my brother, what else is there for me to do?
Right, they're twins. Yeah, and I think that was the first set of twins ever playing the same team in the Super Bowl. I think that was kind of cool.
That was awesome. And the fact that his brother's first season on the Patriots team is just like, listen, we're going to the Super Bowl, so we'll be ready to go.
Other than like we said, if Gronk goes out, if he retires, really just get a tight end. If they sign one from free agency, get one in the draft. Who knows? Obviously, they'll probably have the last pick in the draft, so we'll see what they do there. Yeah. Anyway, moving on, let's go down to the Miami Dolphins. They finished the year 7-9, fired Adam Gase, their coach. Not really sure what's going on with Ryan Tannehill. Yeah. I think it was said the other day. One of their front office members said that they are not opposed to drafting a quarterback in this 2019 draft. Quarterbacks, I think, are kind of thin, though, in this draft. I mean, you've got Kyler Murray, of course, the Heisman-winning quarterback.
You got Dwayne Haskins as well.
Dwayne Haskins out of Ohio State. I think it's Drew Lock from Duke. Will Grier, I believe, from West Virginia. So not really the overwhelming a mass of QBs like we had like last year.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure where the Dolphins go. I know is Frank Gore even still under contract with them?
I don't know if it was 1 year. I think it might have been a 2-year contract. Now the question is, do you bring him back? Because I feel like he is a progress stopper. I think having him out there limits the ability for you to see what other running backs in that room will give you.
Yeah. I just don't know where the Dolphins really go from here. I don't see them really contending in that division.
No.
I mean, obviously the Patriots have won the division 10 years in a row.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
something like that.
So I mean, I think we'll make it 11. Let's just say next year. Check that box.
Yeah.
So with the new coach and everything, I just Ryan Tannehill has been a mystery since he's come in the league.
Yeah.
He's really just been inconsistent or consistently just under par player if you want to look at it like that.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure. They don't have a stout defense.
No.
They lost obviously in Ndamukong Suh. He was there for a little bit. He obviously on the Rams.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where the Dolphins really go from here.
Yeah, it's interesting. They've got quite the coaching staff they put together there. They've got Chad O'Shea, former quarterbacks coach from the Patriots, Brian Flores, former defensive coach from the Patriots. They also have Patrick Pass, who used to play for the Patriots.
And Flores was the defensive caller.
He was the play caller for them defensively.
So I mean, that could help the Dolphins a little bit. Yeah.
But then it's like, what do you build around the biggest star on their team right now is probably Xavier Howard. His camp has been talking about $15 million a year. $15 million a year to Xavier Howard would decimate the opportunity for the Dolphins to build up a team. It's going to be a lot of new guys out there. It's going to be a lot of fresh faces. And I mean, if you want to bring in some free agents to help you start to become, I guess, South Beach Patriots, I don't know. They're going to have to do some wheeling and dealing. It'll be interesting to see. I think they're also bringing in Jim Caldwell from past the Detroit Lions coach as well to help out as an advisor there. So we'll see what they're putting together. At least they can say that they put together a very multiculturally diverse minority-based staff here, and hopefully they can come out there and be very successful.
Yeah. Moving on with the AFC East, the Bills finished third at 6-10. Josh Allen had a decent rookie season.
Yeah.
He was great with his legs this year.
He was great with his legs.
He had a few games where he ran for over 100 yards, or in a couple of games where it was like 95, 98 yards in there. So he made some plays with his legs. I think there's still some issues with LaShawn McCoy off the field things.
Yeah.
So some legal issues going on with him, so we're not really sure what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
I think the Bills just need an overhaul in general. Receiving side, I mean, they let Kelvin Benjamin go. He's gone.
Probably for the best.
Yeah, he really didn't live up to any hype. Even he had maybe 1-2 good seasons in Carolina.
Yeah.
And it's funny because in the year he was out and got hurt, they went to the Super Bowl.
Well, how about that? Right.
He was the number one playmaker.
Yeah. Well, that's what they want you to believe. That he was with the production, right? These are the things we talk about James Harden, where with the production, yes, he looks like the number one guy, but is he limiting their offense and what they want to do because they're putting their work there where maybe they can put it elsewhere?
Right.
And I don't think you can at the age that LaShawn McCoy is at and the amount of wear and tear he's had over the last 3 years, be able to say, okay, we can't have Josh Allen take a step forward. Like Josh Allen would need to bring his passing ability way up to start saving what they have left in a guy like Shady, who is still one of the top running backs in the league.
Yeah. I just think they need to definitely get some receivers for Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Maybe
a tight end as well. Somebody under a safety valve.
Yeah, Zay Jones, Robert Foster. Not really household names putting up big match. I did like Zay Jones coming out of college. I think he was setting records for the most catches in a season.
Okay. Could have been a very productive guy. He can handle the work if you throw it his way.
Yeah, but he's been okay since he's been in the league. I just think they need more weapons for Josh Allen. Yeah. I do feel like he is a good baller. He can throw the rock well. I just think they need an overhaul, even on the defensive side too. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the Bills guys have gone over to your Patriots. Stephon Gilmore, been there. And they're losing Kyle Williams to retirement.
Yeah.
I just think they need some more. They need some more guys. I mean, they had Tremaine Edmonds, who had a decent rookie season
as a rookie signal caller on the defensive side. More kudos to him. I mean, I can't say enough about a kid who steps into a role that big and takes it on his head. He probably only had like 1 or 2 miscues that were huge in a game. So to think he's going to take another step forward in the second year as a signal caller, I feel like he's going to be there to help shore up that defense, or at least be that guy that like Mayo from Tennessee, who played for the Patriots. He had like the most tackles in a season. I can't remember his first name, but yeah. But it's it's tough. They don't have those cornerstone foundational parts along the entire roster for the Bills to make me think that the individuals will be successful around the people they're around.
Right. I mean, Tre'Davious White, he's still, I think he's still a Pro Bowl caliber player.
Yeah.
But I just think they need to reinforce that defense, and then also just get Josh Allen some more weapons as well too.
Absolutely.
Moving on, last but not least, of course, in the AFC East was the New York Football Jets. Woo! Sam Darnold, he looks good.
Yeah, he does.
I'll admit it.
Could be a gunslinger. Could be a gunslinger out there if you need one.
Missed a couple games due to injury. This is for his first year. He's another one that needs some weapons. Having your number one receiver as Robbie Anderson isn't always the best.
It's always the best. So you would like them to put together a roster of wide receivers that at least you have to focus your attention in multiple places. I think Quincy Enunwa is good. I do like Robbie Anderson, but they got to have like another like big guy there who can either get him a ton of receptions, which Quincy Enunwa looks like he can do. You have a stretch receiver in Robbie Anderson who looks like he can be the stretch, but there's got to be another solid piece there.
Yeah, and Isaiah Crowell running the rock for them. I mean, he's a decent player, and I like him. I like him. When you get down to the red zone, if you can feed him there, and you can goal line situations. I'm not sure if he's the normal 25 carry a game for the whole entire season kind of guy.
Nope.
And to lead your team like a Todd Gurley would normally be, or like Ezekiel Elliott, or
maybe
something like
Le'Veon Bell could be if you back up the Brinks truck.
There is some thoughts that Le'Veon Bell could possibly go to the New York Jets. I think they have the cap space for somebody like that, and that would help out Sam Darnold as well too. Yeah. They bring in another weapon on the offensive, the receiver. Yeah. That's not a bad. Even though obviously the Jets, are finished poorly in the division last year, but bringing somebody like Le'Veon Bell into the mix, and you get another receiver, you reinforce that defense. The Jets could do some things, but that's left to be seen. So, and then obviously they've got a new coach in Adam Gase who came over from Miami. The Jets fired Todd Bowles after 4 years.
And they do have Blake Williams and Greg Williams now that all that nonsense where Adam Gase did not want to bring over malcontent Blake Williams, Greg Williams' son, but NFL nepotism always wins, guys. Don't forget.
So I mean, are the Jets going to really make some noise this next season? I don't believe so. Like I said, so. It's the AFC East. We might as well just call it the Patriots division. Just rename it to that.
The AFC Pats.
The AFC Pats. Yeah. AFC East Pats. So, I think that wraps up the AFC East. I don't think there's any going to be other big news happening unless some free agency things happens in the first coming weeks. But, moving right along, let's get over into the NBA now. So this the other day was the trade deadline. I believe it was on Thursday, as today is Saturday. So a few different trades what happened, and one big trade that did not happen, of course, was with Anthony Davis. Yeah. We came out, we said that he wanted to be traded. He was tired of New Orleans, whatever. It was time for him to move on, as they say. Yeah. It didn't happen. It was. I think it was assumed that it wasn't going to happen. The Pelicans were just demanding too much. Yeah. They wanted 4 guys from the Lakers and 4 draft picks and 5 draft picks. And
it's absolutely aggressive. Come on, make a deal.
I mean, the Lakers offered up a pretty good deal, if I'm not mistaken. I believe they were going to give up, or had to give up Ball, Ingram, Kuzma, 2 first rounds, 2 second rounds. But the Pelicans just wanted more. I think the Pelicans did it on purpose because they know they can get more, because probably in the offseason when it comes, Boston's going to be able to offer things up too. Yeah. Young guys like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and a couple picks too. Yeah. So I think the Pelicans were like, all right, you know what? We don't have to take this deal now because there's more deals going to be coming in the offseason. Yeah. So I think the Pelicans might have made the smart move.
I agree with you on that one. I do not think that even – looking at NBA trades, conversely to NFL trades, and we talked about this earlier, the ability for them to get rid of expiring contracts, basically buy picks and just dump guys from the trade that actually weren't of any value or weren't going to really do anything for your team. I understand that there are young guys in Ingram and young guys in Ball and young guys and individuals coming from the Lakers, but the long term, are these guys going to be any good? I think the ceiling for guys that they could get from the Celtics is far higher than the ceiling of guys that they would have got from the Lakers. So if you hold out, okay, great, you want to send us half your roster and your future picks, maybe we're trying to, it's a lot. We're going to tell you guys that actually your scouting isn't as good. The players you picked up wouldn't actually pan out the way you think they would, even if they were on another roster, right? I don't think a breath of fresh air for guys that have been playing with LeBron right now are going to do anything, and I think it kind of shows that the Lakers had no intention of bringing in these guys and building them up around LeBron. Their intention was to bring in LeBron and build a super team around him.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And like you said, the Pelicans, if they hold out, they can get better young talent. Like I said, and Jason Tatum is a stud, dude. Yeah. I think he's going to be a great player for a long time coming. So I think the Pelicans made the smart move there. The only other really big trade that really happened before the deadline was Tobias Harris going over from the Clippers to the Sixers. Yeah. Clippers got 3 players and 4 draft picks, which was I think it was 2 first rounds and 2 second rounds.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Which is wow for Tobias Harris. Is like wow. All right. Harrison Barnes getting traded mid-game to the Kings.
Disrespect, but maybe that was the linchpin that made the trade go.
The Mavericks got Zach Randolph and Josh Jackson from the Kings. I mean, dude. Honestly, no offense, but what happened to Zach Randolph? He was a walking double-double in Memphis. He's gotten older, yes. Yeah. He's not what he used to be, but Zach Randolph was a baller in his early days in Memphis.
Yeah, I do remember
and I honestly felt bad for him when he was in Memphis because they were always a very mid-level, mediocre team. They never had the ability to get over that hump. But now he's with the Kings, so we'll see what happens there.
I think it's the O.J. Mayo. And this is the time we can talk about actually O.J. Mayo. I think there was too much attention on O.J. Mayo at his time with the Memphis Grizzlies and his inability to live up to the hype that preceded him coming out of high school and college.
Yeah. Speaking of the Grizzlies, they were trying to, I believe, get rid of Mike Conley. He didn't go. He's still there because he has a huge contract. So if anyone had to pick them up, that would end up being a big deal for them.
Yeah.
And he's still a great point guard in the league, but the Grizzlies did give away Marc Gasol, longtime Grizzly, longtime member of the Memphis Grizzlies there. They traded him to the Raptors. The Grizzlies got Valanciunas, Delon Wright, C.J. Miles, and I believe a second-round pick. So, not the big trade that everyone was expecting, to happen. But I think the biggest, the most notable trade, not really the biggest effect, but the most notable was with the Sixers and the Magic.
Yeah.
Markelle Fultz, former number 1 pick, going to the Magic from the Sixers. Sixers got, I think, Jonathan Simmons and a first-round pick.
What happened with the process? Like, what's going on here?
I mean,
I think they gave up,
I think they were just tired of it. So honestly, going back to that draft, I don't know why they drafted him in the first place. They already had their point guard in Ben Simmons from the year before.
Yeah.
So there was no reason to draft Markelle Fultz. If you really truly, maybe they just didn't believe in Ben Simmons.
They saw something in practice over the year that they spent with him that they were just like, this kid is not the future. And I believe in that. I don't think Ben Simmons is as good as he thought people thought he was coming out. His scoring ability, his defense, some shaky things there that you wouldn't expect from someone of Ben Simmons, but supposed caliber, to force their hand to say, okay, he's not the guy. We need another young guy because we're building for something right now.
Yeah. I think they just gave up. They were tired of, was it the shoulder? I think it was more of his mental state.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure, but I was watching ESPN, I believe, First Take the other day, and they were talking about Markelle Fultz and whether or not he is the biggest bust of the number 1 draft picks in NBA history. I don't think he's quite there yet because it's still so early.
Yes, absolutely.
He's only, 20 or 21 years old.
He won't hit his prime for another 3 years.
Yeah. So, he still has some time. But you've got to look at some other notable number 1 draft picks. Kwame Brown. Michael Bennett. Greg Oden. Well, most of his issues were the injury.
Injury and health, He had the Benjamin Button disease. We didn't know that. 40-year-old that got drafted at 21. What are you talking about?
I'm telling you, right? That dude had a full beard in second grade. Dude, come on.
Showing his AARP card.
Yo, for real. Dude was getting Social Security and getting his NBA check at the same time. Like, dude, how are you getting a salary and you getting Social Security at the same time? What crazy. Another one, number one pick, some people forget, Michael Olowokandi.
I don't even remember Michael Olowokandi. My goodness.
There you go. I mean, so.
For me, it's Kwame Brown. My hands down, it's Kwame Brown. I mean,
man, there's so much hype.
There's a story about Kobe Bryant was saying, Kobe don't care. Kobe just says what he says because Kobe was that good.
Yeah.
And he was just like, we were in a game, and Kwame Brown came up to me and whispered something, and I had to ask him. He was like, what did you just say? And he said, don't pass me the ball. That was the level of skill that this guy that we brought on our team, playing with me, looked at me and said, don't pass me the ball, because he was just unsure of himself. He did not.
Didn't know. Wow.
Right? It was like a press conference. Don't pass me the ball. Who says that? Because winners want the ball.
Absolutely.
Winners want the opportunity.
People like Kobe, people like Jordan, right? They want the ball in their hands.
Who do you think? I mean, who would you rank?
I mean, I'd probably going to go with Kwame Brown as well. I think Michael Bennett is right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Out of what? I think he played 150-something games. He averaged four points a game. I mean, the Cavs definitely missed on that one. Now, I believe he's in the G League doing his thing right now. So he could possibly turn it around.
Yeah.
You know,
find what was missing.
But
find
I think,
what he wasn't doing.
So until that happens, until his career is done, I think we'll go with you and Kwame Brown. And MJ, when he was the GM, when we were working with the Wizards, not the right move, MJ. I mean, Jordan, you're my boy, Jordan.
Yeah,
but,
there's something about former players, not really understanding it from the business aspect and the coaching standpoint of it, right? Like, I don't, Steve Kerr obviously knows how to coordinate a team full of winners. Good for him. If he's had the pedigree for that, great. For me, it's coaches like Popovich who have a team full of great players who just, when there's a timeout, he can just step away. You guys figure it out. When I see Steve Kerr allow Draymond Green to go ahead and write up the plays, I'm just like, okay, I'm starting to see a little bit of that hands-offness. But from the front office standpoint, players just don't know how to pick guys.
Now Magic is in that role, doing it, with the Lakers, so
looks like he's running them into the ground very nicely.
Will he be able to, fix things? Or maybe get Anthony Davis in the offseason? We'll see what happens there. But it's hard for some players to really understand the dynamics when it comes to the front office issue dealings. Yeah. So you make a very good point there. But yeah, I mean, Fultz, I just don't know. Will he jive with the Magic? Will they really, truly expect him to, enter into an immediate starting role and impact the team? It's left to be seen.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter for the Orlando Magic right now is they're not a winning team. They're not looking at taking the East by storm in any shape or form. Right. So potentially this is an opportunity for him to chill for a second, and not chill in the sense that he's not going to be focused and just resting on his laurels, but chill in the sense that he can focus on building. He's a young guy. He needs an opportunity to kind of like take a year, 2 years, figure out what the problems are, see if you can work on those, build up that confidence, build himself out. You were so good of a player that you were drafted number 1 overall. Right. It's in there. You just need to find it again.
Right. And just quick, going back to Anthony Davis just for a second, he did play last night in the Pelicans win over the Timberwolves. Yep. I believe they won 122 to 117. Okay. Davis had 32 and 9, good game, but he didn't even play in the fourth quarter. He still had 32 and 9. Yeah, didn't play in the fourth quarter at all. I see this as a trend. They're going to be sitting him parts of some games move throughout the remaining of the season, because they said that it was some speculation that they may sit him the rest of the year. Yeah. Now they said they're going to play him, but I think they're going to make points like this to rest him more often, because that way, to ensure that he is healthy when season ends, they get the highest value possibly for him. Because heaven forbid he goes out and tears his ACL, or breaks his elbow or something like that. Then what? Yeah. No one's going to really give up all the pieces. Now, eventually, they still may trade it for him, because when he comes back from the injury. But I think to get the highest value from him, the Pelicans want to protect him. Yeah. You look at what Porzingis pulled for the Knicks. Imagine if it was just like, no, he's actually healthy. You've seen him play. You see the stats. Something that we can bring to the table, as opposed to he hasn't played all year. What can we wheel and deal for him? Yeah. Speaking of injuries, too, another injury was pretty out this week was John Wall. Dude. Said he slipped and fell at home and tore his Achilles.
And we know that's a lie. We all
Dude.
know that's a lie.
Yo,
He was at Rose Bar.
Dude, now you know what happened? He might have been at home, but his girl caught him doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing and whooped his butt. That's what it was. She's like,
I had to duck a frying pan, guys. You know what it's like.
He caught him slipping up or something, dude.
My goodness.
But I mean, he was already out for the year, having surgery on, I think it was his left heel to remove some bone spurs. So he was already gone. But now that he's ruptured his Achilles, he's going to be out for an additional 12 months from now. So he might be out all of next season as well too. That is a pretty significant injury for the Wizards. And even for him, being a dynamic, speed guy, explosive kind of player.
Quick movement, transition movements. Yeah.
Having that Achilles in it, not like Boogie Cousins who tore his Achilles, who was he's a power forward, slender guy, plays in the post. Can we just, John Wall is an explosive player.
Not anymore.
Do you think this injury could hinder him for the rest of his career?
We'll never see John Wall the way he was back when he was at Kentucky. We'll never see that John Wall ever again. First few years of the Wizards, and then really his inability to be the explosive guy that he's been of late, it was just lackadaisicality because he just was not happy where he was. Recent reports just found out he's going back to school. He's going back to go get his degree.
Okay, good for him.
Which is
well done.
And look at the writing on the wall there. He just got this no pun intended, that they've got this injury. Now he's like, okay, I think it's time for me to go get my degree because the years of basketball are going to be dwindling.
Right, and then after basketball, what do you do?
Yeah.
That degree will definitely come in handy.
So,
all right, moving on from injuries. The other night, the All-Star teams were selected. Team LeBron and Team Giannis. We'll take a look at those guys now. It was the second year that they were doing this kind of selection process, but it was the first year that it was televised. So LeBron had the first pick in the quote unquote in the draft. He went with his boy KD. Giannis went with Steph Curry. I mean, looking at these rosters right now, man. Team LeBron, dude, is there even a chance Team Giannis that could win this game?
Not at all. There's just looking at the lineup, like,
dude, come on.
It's not fair.
Giannis went. You can see Giannis went with big guys. He went with Embiid and Jokic and Griffin and Vujacic and
Paul George.
I mean, come on.
And then of course, to not make any players who are currently playing upset, we bring two reservist players to be picked last. Dirk and Dwayne have no problem being picked last, but I'm sure Bradley Beal and Kyle Lowry would be like, I'm not happy about this. Nobody likes being picked last.
But I mean, obviously, and LeBron picked his boy Wade, of course. That we all knew that was going to happen. But dude, I mean, look at the starting lineup.
The starting lineups are ridiculous. LeBron knew what he was doing.
But KD made a joke the other day after the announcement was like, "Oh, Giannis, he's not from here. He'll do better next time." He doesn't know any better. He's foreign.
Exactly, he's foreign. He doesn't know who you should be picking right now.
Dude, you got LeBron, you've got KD, you got Kyrie and Kawhi.
That just is not fair.
And James Harden.
And then you picked Anthony Davis. That's low key. Low key dig. Like, you're coming to play with me. We're gonna see what it looks like. We're gonna make it happen.
Giannis made a joke. Is like, hey, isn't that tampering? But dude, Giannis had the first pick in the second round after the starters were picked.
Yeah.
He went with his teammate Chris Middleton. I get it. It's his teammate. Wants him on his team.
Yeah.
But come on. Let's be honest here. Chris Middleton would have been available later in the draft.
That's Giannis. I want Giannis in my fantasy football league. I want Giannis in my fantasy football league. That guy's picking TJ Husmanzada in the third round. I promise you.
He's the guy who's picking a kicker in round 5 at fantasy football. Okay?
There we go.
He's the one. He's the one who has 2 defenses at a time throughout the entire season. Okay.
Scheming, plot. You guys don't know.
You never know. Like, dude, come on.
Giannis went up there and said, "I'll take Detlef Schrempf."
But I mean, this team LeBron is just AD, Clay, Lillard. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Damian Lillard. Give it up for Damian Lillard. Finally getting selected to an All-Star game. I mean, he's been a snub for years.
I think it's been a crime. Who picks these things? I mean, is it still the fans only pick but so many players? So where are the rest of the votes coming from?
You know what I mean? But even I think the fans might have a little too much say in it. I mean, it goes to show you. But finally, I'm glad for Damian Lillard Ben Simmons, as you mentioned too before, you didn't think he was good. Maybe he's not as good as what you think he is. But he made an All-Star game. LaMarcus Aldridge, Karl Anthony Towns.
I don't know about LaMarcus Aldridge being out there. D'Angelo Russell, I don't know about him being on there. And honestly, if you're gonna have D'Angelo Russell there, you might as well put Swaggy P on one of the teams. I just put him out there. I want to see it. I want to see the drama.
First time All-Star for Russell. But he's been improved this year with the Nets. I think he's got career highs in all significant categories in points, rebounds, and assists. Yeah. So good for him. Yeah. You know what name I didn't see on there? DeMar DeRozan. His former teammate Kyle Lowry, of course, is there. Yeah. But DeMar DeRozan is usually a definitive All-Star each and every year. But now he's with San Antonio. But like I said, you said his teammate LaMarcus Aldridge is there now. So quite a shock there. But I mean, I just think. Let me ask you this: in a 7-game series, these two teams go head to head.
7-0 to LeBron's team. I'm sorry. I mean, you've got Steph Curry, and he's going to jack up shots there, but who are your other 3-point shooters out here? I mean, you could have an entire...
LeBron has Clay to match with Curry.
He's got Clay to match Curry. Kawhi is going to give you on both ends of the ball, probably get enough rips to make up for the points he doesn't make on the boards. James Harden, LeBron has assembled some of the most prolific scorers in the NBA right now on his team between Durant, Kawhi, Harden, Klay Thompson, Damian Lillard. It's just,
it's Team LeBron all the way. Yeah. I mean, Giannis, man, do better.
Do better. If this had been like a FIFA tournament, I got Giannis all day. Giannis got all the picks on that one, right? Like, I give him that one.
Yeah, I mean, LeBron. I think Team LeBron will definitely take it in this one. Well, man, I think that wraps up our time for this week here in What's the Word on Entertainment. Any last parting words or last request or anything in concerns for you?
Guys, at this point of the season, you need to understand you have just gone through the meat grinder. That's what they call fantasy football. It's the meat grinder. It just keeps going. You're going to have about a good 2-3 months off now. Enjoy it. Savor it. Sundays has to be about the family. It is February 9th. You have 4 days to figure out what you're doing for Valentine's Day, and then 2 days to put it into play and make it happen, okay? Do not lose this one, gentlemen. Excuse me. 4 days to put it into play, and then 1 day to make it happen because it's the 14th, 15th.
Right, 14th.
All right. So, guys, get up there. Buy the flowers. 1-800-DIRECT. Any of them. Find somebody. Get the flowers.
Even if you don't get flowers, go to the store, get some chocolate, get a little teddy bear.
Write a card.
Write a card.
There's some advertisement where this dude's like, buy the jewelry. Don't look at the price tag. That man's a fool. Okay?
I'm looking at price tag.
That man's a fool because we got a long-term. Retirement is not cheap or free.
I don't know about y'all. I ain't made of money, fam. I look at price tag.
What are you talking about? But yes, remember,
I'm not making it rain like we all say we can.
Think about the long term. If you want to be back in front of the TV for every Sunday and every Saturday and every Thursday, listen, take care of the ones who take care of you right now because you're going to be back in this situation next year.
Got him. Wise advice from Obed. That does it for us. Thanks again for guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Take care.